Will we start?
We'll start.
Right.
Now you're talking.
Now you're talking. Now.
No.
Well, a very good day, morning, night, whatever time you're listening in, we're here and you're more than welcome. And you know, Roy, what I'm just sitting thinking?
What are you thinking, Liz?
I watch TV and I watch, you know, the news readers.
Yes.
And even when the broadcasts maybe outside. Now you watch my hands, what I'm doing.
Yes.
Well, I sit at home and I complain about that.
Oh, right. But you're doing it now.
And I'm doing it myself.
Right.
So I think really I would need a pair of handcuffs or something because I know I'm going to keep doing this.
But I mean, it keeps a bit of action in the whole thing.
Well, that's true. You see, and you know the best about it is when I watch them at home, it's like music's going because you count 1, 2, 3, and then and then
You're conducting.
You know, it's not funny. What's that word?
Conducting.
That's it.
Yes.
By the way, my name's Liz, and I'm here to talk because this is Roy.
Yes.
Roy Rainey.
And I'm here to listen to Liz.
He is. And he's here to keep me right. Roy comes out with all the 6-syllabled words.
Ooh.
And that was a big word for me, Roy.
It was.
Wasn't it?
6.
6
7
syllables.
would be the bigger one, wouldn't it?
Would you know a 7-syllable word? Well, we'll not put him into that position just
Was
at the
this
minute.
meaning the word 7?
7.
Forget about the syllable.
So anyway, I'm here now. Whenever I'm here and I'm talking, as you notice, I do have a bit of difficulty keeping the whole thing going. You notice that, Roy?
No, I've never found
No, that's
that.
okay. You've said enough. So anyway, I'm here now. The only thing about the things I would tell you, you'd maybe have to check them out
Right.
because I could spin you a yarn.
No.
Oh, well, I know you don't believe that, Roy.
Come on.
But sometimes I get more fun out of spinning a yarn.
Right.
And then people are sitting at home thinking, is that right enough?
Wonder where that term came from, spinning a yarn.
Spinning a yarn.
You'd end up with a jumper.
You would. Grasshopper.
You know, if you were spinning yarn.
Right, you've said enough. Anyway, do you know whenever we're talking about things like that, right? Because, I mean, this has nothing to do with the script
No.
that we were supposed to have done out, which we haven't. But when we're talking about spinning,
Yes.
and you know the way you talk about spider's web,
Yes.
well, we just take those things for granted, don't we? That spiders spin webs.
Yes.
Well, I remember lying one night, and I was awake, couldn't sleep. And there was a spider,
Right.
just above my head, up in the ceiling. And I watched it.
We used to have a house like that too.
Did you? Might have still like that, Roy. I bet you that spider's just found somewhere else to live. But anyway, I watched it. And I never saw anything as beautiful.
Really?
I mean, and you know the way they talk about spinning. I mean, the spider was actually
Right.
going round and round.
Does it do the sort of long bits first?
It did.
And then goes round?
And then it spun. And I thought, how much do we take for granted?
Uh-huh.
That wee tiny, tiny, tiny thing, being able to do that, and knowing how to do that. And
I think it's fascinating that God created
Absolutely.
all this to be like that.
absolutely.
You know?
And I remember one time too, when we lived out in the country,
Yeah.
and obviously, we had a big garage out the back, but for some reason, the doors never met at the top. You know what those doors would be like? Somebody just threw them on and forgot to,
Yes.
put
So
proper ones on.
It's only a garage after.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter. But the wee birds just to fly in,
Uh-huh.
that wee gap in the top. And you'd have seen them get in, wee tiny, tiny twigs and things, and coming out and lifting them and everything. And then whenever we went in, the birds' nests and everything were made there. And it was absolutely beautiful.
Fascinating.
And the best of it was, the boys used to practice in there singing.
Yes.
They used to go out with all, their equipment and keyboards, and they'd have been singing away. And the wee birds that were born, they stayed there.
Oh, right. I thought you were going to say they joined in.
No, they weren't that brave, you know. But they used to sit across, the beam.
Yes.
And you would have thought, the way if you go out, you would scare a wee bird and all. But whether it was just because they were always there, and, you know what I mean? And the boys sang away and the birds were sitting. It was absolutely beautiful.
Aye.
Anyway, what would you say? I was thinking if we started off with a wee bit of music, and your name being Roy Rainey, and you're related to another lady very, very well known.
Yes.
All around the world, might I say. And where is she singing tonight, Roy? Where's...
In Canada.
In Canada. And I think everybody will know now who we're talking about. Roy's wife, Mildred, beautiful lady and all that, but she talks a terrible lot. I come down to do the programme with Roy, and Roy.
I know.
You know how it is.
I had a job getting started.
You know the way I never really talk that much,
I know
but she
that.
seems to be able to bring the conversation out of me. She has a great way. But anyway, we're going to listen to Mildred's she's coming on a really beautiful song she's putting up, and hymns and that on the YouTube, and you can get her anywhere or any time.
That's right.
What is it you type in, Roy?
We'll put it up under my name. You can get it under her name as
yeah,
well.
Yeah. And it's really beautiful. And the words and everything are there.
Yeah.
So it's beautiful there whenever
Just sing along with them.
you want to sing along. And I know what it's like because Cecil listens in nearly every night when I go to bed. And it's when he starts to sing.
Ah, no.
I make sure it goes off then because Roy, Mildred's a beautiful singer, but Cecil can sort of spoil her.
Ach, I don't believe that.
Oh, aye, definitely.
I don't believe it.
Definitely. Anyway, we'll listen to Mildred.
All right, okay.
What will we play today?
Oh, I don't know. What do you think?
Surprise me.
All right, I'll do that.
Okay.
Oh, happy day that fixed my choice on thee, my Savior and my God. Well, may this glowing heart rejoice and tell its raptures all abroad. Oh, happy day, when Jesus washed my sins away. He taught me how to watch and pray and live rejoicing every day. Hallelujah, happy day. Oh, happy day, when Jesus washed my sins away. 'Tis done, the great transaction's done. I am my Lord's and He is mine. He drew me and I followed on, charmed to confess the voice divine. Oh, happy day, when Jesus washed my sins away. He taught me how to watch and pray and live rejoicing every day. Hallelujah, happy day. Oh, happy day, when Jesus washed my sins away. Now rest my long divided heart, fixed on this blissful center rest, nor ever from my Lord depart, with Him of every good possessed. Oh, happy day, when Jesus washed my sins away. He taught me how to watch and pray and live rejoicing every day. Hallelujah, happy day. Oh, happy day, when Jesus washed my sins away. Jesus washed my sins away. He taught me how to watch and pray and live rejoicing every day. Hallelujah, happy day, oh happy day, when Jesus washed my sins away.
So anyway, that is beautiful, but she's done so many now, Roy, hasn't
Yes,
she?
we started doing it when the lockdown came on a year ago, and sort of thought, well, maybe a bit sort of bless folk, just
Absolutely.
being able to have something online like that. And at the start, we were doing about 2 or 3 a week, but we have it cut down to 1 a week now.
It's a lot of work,
I
Roy.
know, I mean, most have done 70 or 80 by now. I
I
don't know how many
know,
we've
I
done.
know. But even they're using them in the homes and everything,
right.
For
That's
the
right.
residents and all there, and turn
Yeah.
them on to let them sing away. And the
But,
words and everything been up great.
At Christmas time,
Yeah.
our church had got in touch with the Northern Trust, and we were able to give DVDs into all the care homes
That's
in
right.
the Northern Trust area,
I remember I got some of those as well to give away,
Yes. Uh-huh.
on the other programmes,
Yes. Uh-huh.
and that there. But she's done, I can't believe the number of years Mildred's been
Well,
singing.
She was singing out at meetings before we even met,
Mm-hmm.
and that was we met in 1965,
Right.
and we married in 1967,
Uh-huh.
and we're still going strong.
Still going strong. How many years are you together, Roy?
Well, that I say we'll be 54 years married in September now. We'd been going together for probably 2.5 years before that.
Isn't that fantastic?
We just met.
And the wonderful thing about it, Roy, is you are still like a couple of teenagers.
Well, I think in my head I can still play rugby.
Right, okay. Just let me explain to you. Roy's a bit of a dreamer here, you know what I mean? Well, I suppose...
No, but I think when you come to a certain age, you almost level off.
You do.
At that age, mentally at that age, and it doesn't really matter what your body's capable of doing anymore.
That's right.
You can still. But I think it's always good to be looking positively ahead.
Oh, absolutely.
Rather than saying, do you remember the time I used to be able to do this, or I used to be able to do that?
You still can do it, Roy, no matter when it is, or what time it is, or what age you are. As I say, the one thing I always remember that stands out in my head about Roy Rainey, and that's the day, remember, we were up at the other
Yes,
radio station,
I do.
and
Martin
you were
was-
sitting in for Martin,
Martin,
isn't
that's
that
right.
right? And Martin had gone up with us that day,
He'd come up to see
although
just how it was all going, but he wasn't at all
he
well.
couldn't do anything.
He was sitting over at the other side.
And he was sitting and it felt so unwell.
Uh-huh.
And I think he was he going out to
He
the
was
car?
going to go out and he collapsed then.
And he collapsed. And I'll never forget it. You just jumped the bench and ran out
Got him
and
into the
lifted
car.
him by yourself.
Uh-huh.
And Martin was no lightweight.
No.
I'm
no,
telling you.
No.
And I just couldn't believe it. And then after you got him settled in the car, you ran back in again, jumped the bench again, onto the seat by the end of the song that you had played,
And put another one on.
and just went in and put another one on.
And then-
And do you remember Kenza was sitting at the
That's
side?
right. That's right.
I'll never forget Kenza's face either. She just sat there. I couldn't believe this. You just jump on this bench out and lifting him in, and and I think I said something to Kenza, if that, I can't remember what I said to her when you were on your way out. If that goes to stop there, give me a shout. She says, if what goes to stop? I just sort of, it was unbelievable the way you did that. And I mean, that was only what? It was only 3 or 4 years ago, really, wasn't
It
it?
must be more than that now.
Would it have been?
Oh, it must be. Oh, aye.
But it was just
Well,
unbelievable.
I
I
would
could
have
not
been
believe it.
certainly well in my 60s anyway, if I
Aye.
wasn't over 70 by that stage.
Absolutely. But anyway, that's the way your man here gets on,
Yeah.
And so anyway, you and Mildred married.
Yes.
You were an only child, Roy.
I was an only child. I was indeed. I had a brother 2 years older than me who died at birth. I don't know if I was still born or whether it was came early or something. But and then there was one 2 years after me then who also died at 3 months.
Right.
And my mum found this very difficult, as you can imagine.
Absolutely.
I remember her saying to me later on, if I hadn't had you, I would probably join them. She said,
I know.
You know.
It's very, very tough, you know.
Yes, but it worked out well for me because I mean I was treated like an adult. Really.
I know
what I mean?
I know. But, you know, even though you were an only child, and as you say, you know what I mean, you more or less got everything that you needed and wanted and all the rest of it. But, you know, you're still very, what would you say? What's the word I'm looking for, Roy? Now, this is your job.
I don't know.
This is your job. What's the word I'm
Difficult.
looking for? Oh, you're not difficult. Well, he is, but you know.
I'm not quite sure what you're thinking of. To be
I know.
honest.
I'm thinking the same thing. Like the way Gillian would be there. The word's going to. This is going to be terrible. You know, you can fend for yourself.
Yeah.
Independent.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
You should have thought that, Roy. But you would be a very independent person.
Well, anything I had to do on my own.
Yes.
I had nobody to say, like I hadn't a brother that I could say, could you come and give me a wee help?
Yep.
I remember one time we had an old car and we got a puncture. As Mildred and I were out going, so I can't remember where we were going. But we got this puncture and pulled in, and people that are older, like Cecil and all, will remember this. The cars were
like that wee bit you got in there.
very rotten cars in those days, you know. And the way it worked was, under the sill there was like a wee tube that to put the jack in. You push the jack in, and then you wound the jack up and it lifted the whole side of the car. Of course, as soon as I did that, the wee tube just came out of the side of the car. It was that rotten, it just fell apart.
Right.
And I thought, what am I going to do? And I had a wee look around it, and it was the back corner on the left hand side, the passenger side, and that was where the exhaust came out at the back. So I said to myself, I put this wee jack into the exhaust pipe and wound it up, and I got the wheel changed. So I've always had to think of ways round things.
Yes,
you know what I mean?
yes, you're never beat. Let's
Exactly.
put it that way.
Yeah.
And then you were a great a mechano man, is that right?
I always loved fiddling with things.
Yes.
You know, as I say, I remember getting a scooter for Christmas one time, and I had it in bits in about an hour. Because I was more interested in how it worked than it was in actually writing out.
I think you're still a wee bit like that, aren't
very
you?
much
You know,
so.
you like to know the ins and outs of everything. But anyway, as time went on, and then you married
Yes.
Mildred.
Yes, indeed.
And all those years ago.
Yep.
And Mildred, she was trained in music. And
Yes, she's classically trained.
Yes.
She has a whole string of letters after her name, even, you know.
so have I, Roy, but I wouldn't like to tell you what the letters are.
And but you know, it's been, but just, I mean, the thing for me was, as a teenager, I was absolutely enthralled by the pop music of the day.
Yes.
You know, like Jim Reeves and Buddy Holly and the Everly Brothers and all that sort of thing. And I always felt, I was never got into drink or any of those sorts of things, but I always thought, if I'm to become a Christian, I have to give this up. And I realise now that it was really just an idol in my life, you see. And I came to the point where, it's a long story, but I came and I really said, Lord, I don't care what it costs me, I want to get to know you. And I meant the music, you know. And do you see, he took that away completely from me, that I had no more desire. I never listened to another tune after, but I didn't want to. And then I remember going to the wee wee church. I'll not say which one it was in case anybody's offended. the morning after, I had trusted the Lord, and there was a lady playing the organ, and I thought, well, that really is the end of music in my life.
Oh.
And then I met Mildred, and the Lord, look at the music He has put back in their life. I honestly thought that was the end of it. I loved the music, but I thought, well, that's the end
That's
of it now.
it. You have to sort of.
You know, and now He has given it. My goodness, our whole lives.
It's been all
involved in music. You know,
all music and everything, and she was singing back then, wasn't she?
Oh yeah,
And she was playing.
Yep.
And she had actually recorded and all, hadn't she? Or had she before you met her?
No, she hadn't recorded before we met. What really got us in was some people remember Eric Black, who used to sing a lot about the country and so on, and he and another couple of guys had a wee recording studio down in Lurgan at Drumgask, and they did programs for going overseas to mission stations in different parts of the world. So shortwave radio in those days.
Yes.
And they asked Mother to go and sing for them. So she did. And then when they realised she could play the piano, they were said, would you come back and play? We'll have somebody coming to sing and they need somebody to play for them. And that got us into that. And I got interested in the technical stuff then and got involved in that side of it. And then we went on from there. We really felt the Lord calling us full time into it. And 1972, Mildred was invited to go and sing at the Filey Convention. Another good friend of ours, Eric Clark, who was singing about, lived in Lurgan, and he invited her to go over and sing at the Filey Convention. Now that was in Yorkshire, and it was a Butlins camp.
Right.
And they took it over for the last week of the season, sort of way in September, and then they had just big Christian meetings. I think it was 4,000 or 5,000 people or more were at it. You know, it was a big event, and from there then we met some folk who were making radio programs and so on down in Eastbourne.
Yeah.
And they invited us to come and join them, and so we moved over there in When did we move over there? 73. Oh my goodness, nearly 50 years ago. Scary.
It is indeed. But you found too, Roy, that while you were doing that work, you were working for the Lord.
Oh, very much so.
And I remember before you told me too about maybe times where you were in need of something.
Yeah.
And then the Lord provided.
I think the biggest one I can ever remember is when we moved to Eastbourne, we started working with an evangelist called Dick Saunders, who used to go about all over the country with a big 3,000-seater tent, and it was a massive big thing. And we eventually joined up full time with Dick then in 1976, and we moved about. And what happened was we lived in Northern Ireland at that stage, and we had a caravan, a 16-foot caravan that we ran around. And we basically lived in it from April to September.
Yes.
We moved over when we went over to England. We just stayed over there because there were four crusades, which each lasted for 3 weeks. There was a week in between each one, so you're talking of 4 months plus, you know, because they used to have other big meetings in London and so on. But anyway, we had this caravan, and at that stage we had 2 children. Ruth, Catherine, our eldest, would have been about 2, and Ruth she was only 6 months or something. I can't quite remember the ins and outs of it now, but in 1978, there was another one on the way.
Oh, right.
You see, and we'd got to the end of our 4-month stint, and we were at the old aerodrome in Croydon, down south of London, and Mildred was washing the girls and stuff, and there was no shower or anything.
Yes.
She had a wee basin, and she was washing them and getting on. And I went out. I says, "Excuse me a minute, love. I'm going for a walk here." And when I was walking around, I just said, "Oh Lord, I don't want to complain, but if you want us to keep in this work, I think we need a bigger caravan." You know. So that was it. We did nothing more about it till the next February, when we were starting to think about getting ready for going over to England again. So I went to see the boy that I had bought the caravan, the 16-foot caravan from, and said, "Do you ever have anything bigger?" Oh, he says, "I have 22-foot. That was the biggest you could legally tow." And he says, "I have 22-foot." He says, "Just come in. I'll come in. I'll let you have a look at it." And so it was brilliant. There was an end bedroom in it with an ordinary bed in it.
Oh.
There was a bunk room. There was a shower room. There was, and it was made away down in the south of Ireland, and it was made in it was lino on the floor and everything. It was a very practical.
Right.
It wasn't like a luxury type of van, you know. It was very practical. And I said, "Oh, this would just be perfect for us." But I says, "I wouldn't have the money to buy that." He says, "I'm putting a sold notice on it, and it's yours till you tell me you don't want it."
Wow.
So I come home and was telling Mother about this. The next morning we had a letter from a trust in England. Now that must have been in the post before I went to even see about the caravan.
Right.
They said, "We believe you need a new caravan. How much do you require?" And
Unbelievable, isn't it?
they paid that difference for us. And we set out with that big caravan the next year. It was because we didn't tow it with a car or anything. It was a big van that we had fitted out with. Used to make all the cassettes in it.
Yes.
Used to record all Dick's programs for the year in those 4 months. And it was just incredible the way it all worked out, you know. So
Isn't it great, but that you can actually, you've witnessed that, you know, and
I think it was Hudson Taylor who would have been a missionary to China at one time, and he said, "God's work done in God's way will never lack God's provision." And I have certainly proved that over the years.
That's right, Roy. And can, for people who don't believe and take in, isn't it lovely that has happened, and you can tell your story.
I could certainly say the Lord is faithful.
Absolutely.
Just
whenever we're talking, I was reading through some things, and I had come across this wee story, and it was about a young chap, that was on a bus.
Yes.
And he must have been about maybe 9, 10.
Right.
And he was on the bus and they were travelling along, and he come from a Christian family and loved to talk about Jesus and things like this. And he stood up in the bus that day and he says, he looks round, and he says, he told everybody, Jesus loves you. And there was a man sitting on the bus and he wasn't too happy.
Right.
And he just looked at the boy and, he said nothing. And the wee chap sat down and he got up again, and he said, "I just want you all to know that Jesus does love you." And the man, he stood up and he said, "Look, just you keep your beliefs to yourself. We don't need to hear this." So the wee boy sat down again. And the man had his own wee child with him. The child was about 3 or so, I think. And the wee boy got up again. He says, "But I just want to tell you that I know Jesus loves me and Jesus loves you." And the man, he stood up. He was nursing, the wee girl. And he stood up and he was really going to go down and give off to the wee boy. And the next thing, the wee girl says, "Daddy, God sent him." And the man fell to his knees. And he cried and he cried. And the wee boy stood up and he walked up to the man, he says, "I'm sorry." He says, "I didn't mean to upset you." And the man says, "It wasn't you upset me." He says, "My child has never spoken until today."
Oh, wow. That's some story, isn't it?
Do you know the tears ran down my cheeks when I read that? I couldn't believe it. It was, people have witnessed, in so many different
That's right.
ways,
Yeah.
And what about some music, Roy?
Oh, right, okay.
Who will we play?
I don't know. What about your man?
Your man.
Aye. Related to you.
But we want people to stay on and listen to us. Oh, go on then. Go on.
Don't think that I don't know what you are going There's a blessing in this trial that's not yet clear to you. Keep holding on to my hand. I will never let you go. Trust me, in the meantime, I have not forgotten you. In the meantime, though your heart is filled with fear, in the meantime, though your eyes be dimmed with tears, keep holding on, I'm holding on to you. Don't think that I would leave you to face things on your own. You may not feel my presence, but you are not alone. I'm with you as I promised. I am watching over you. Trust me, in the meantime, I will surely bring you through. In the meantime, though your heart is filled with fear, in the meantime, though your eyes be dim with tears, keep holding on, I'm holding on to you. Don't think I haven't heard your sacrifice of praise, standing in the temple, tears falling, arms raised. And though your heart is breaking, you still glorified my name. Trust me, in the meantime, I will raise you up again. In the meantime, though your heart is filled with fear, in the meantime, though your eyes be dimmed with tears, keep holding on, I'm holding on to you. Oh, keep holding on, I'm holding on to you.
So anyway, that's we got as far as
Yes.
you and Mildred and your caravan, and
Yes.
of course, well, we're talking about you and Mildred now, but you also have a daughter who's a brilliant singer too.
Oh, right.
I'm allowed to say it because I mean, you know,
Catherine is and her husband Alan. They're now pastoring a church in Anaheim, in California, and Catherine has been very much involved in the worship side of
Yeah.
things for years and years now. So, and her daughter, our granddaughter
yes,
Sophie, she's now joining in and singing in the worship sessions as well. So
brilliant.
So-
Of course, whenever they were here, how long are they away now, Roy?
about 4 years
About
now.
4 years. But whenever they were here, they did the worship music
Yes.
and all. And Mildred was there as well,
That's
wasn't
right.
she? She was
indeed.
in the
She
in the
played
Sunday
there as well.
morning worship and everything. And we had been down a few times, you know,
Yes,
and had enjoyed ourselves there too. And it was also, it just seems to all, you know, the rest of your family would be all musical.
All musical, they
you
are,
know, they'd
very
all be
much so.
into music in their own way,
That's
wouldn't
right.
they?
Very much so.
Really?
Yeah.
I think one time you used to say, was it that whenever people were speaking to you, you referred to as,
That's right.
oh, Mildred's husband.
Yes.
Mildred's husband.
Then it was Catherine's dad.
And then Catherine's dad after that. Now the grandchild's in, Roy. What are you going to be then?
Oh, no.
But it's true that does happen, because even with Martin, you know, Martin's mum.
Yes.
Martin's mum.
Yes. Of course, the first time I ever met you, I thought you were Martin's sister.
Well, I remember that day.
Didn't they get a good one in there? Did they?
Martin's going to be your best friend
That's
now.
true.
All right.
I really did believe that when I met you first. You know.
Well, you see, whenever Martin was out singing, you know, before he became a Christian, and he was out in the country singing,
Yes.
and whenever, you know, we'd be along with him, because he was quite young then, and, you know, you had to
Yeah,
make
of
sure you were
course.
well enough looked after and that. And then when he used to be out, Martin used to stand on the stage, you know, and if they were wanting maybe a sound check or something, all you heard was, Mummy! Mummy! And I thought, oh my goodness, you know what I mean? And anyway, I says, look, you know, whenever we're out, could you be a wee bit more sort of, you know? So if he was introducing me instead of saying, this is my mummy, you know, it'd say, this is Liz. So that's okay. Then whenever I had met you, obviously, you know, that night, I just said, this is Liz. And I found people didn't really take me, what would you say, just as serious whenever I was his mummy.
I know what you mean.
You know, although I was doing all his work and
Yeah, I
everything,
know.
and everything, while he was working, I was doing everything in the background for him. But I found that when people thought, oh, his mummy's with him, you know.
I know.
But then whenever they did find out I was the mummy, well, at least they knew then that I was helping. But you know, there was another singer, and I always loved going where he was there. You know, Warren Smith.
Yes.
And wherever Warren was, you can rest assured either his mummy or daddy, or maybe the both of them were there. And it was great because I didn't feel so much, you know.
Understand.
And we always knew they were there, and we always had a chat and everything when they were there. And it was always lovely. But then we found out as years went on, more mummies and daddies appeared on the scene. You know, which was lovely too, because you were sort of in the family thing.
Brilliant.
But I must tell you a funny story, Roy. And I was down in Port Stewart the other day,
Right.
and I was sitting along, you know, in the car along the promenade, and the next thing I looks out, and Cecil actually says to me, "Is that not your woman?" You know the way we're very polite down
Yes,
here.
of course.
And I looked out and I says, "Who's your woman?" "Oh, go over there," he says, "I can't mind her name." And I looked over, and here, dear, it was your woman, Nell. So I shouts out the window. You know the way Nell's a bit like myself, you know.
Polite.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes.
So anyway, I shouts out, "Nell, higher, I thought you were arrested." And she looks over, "Oh, what about you?" So she was there and Billy was there, and I think it was her brother.
Right.
So over she come and we had a right wee chat and thing, and how's Martin? You know, and I said, "Oh, Martin's doing great," and all the rest. And we had a chat and all about how she was keeping, how Billy was and how things were. And then she says to me, "And what about Martin's mum?" And I said, "Right, okay. Is she keeping all right? I ask about her all the time." And I says, "Nell, what, love?" I says, "I am Martin's mum." "Get away," she says. "You're far too young looking." I says, "I'll pass on your regards and tell Martin what you said." So that was nice that you had to say the same thing. You know.
Absolutely.
You thought I was his sister.
Absolutely.
Martin can't stand that.
Really?
He can't stand. No, it does. He said. And we went out to church one night, and we'd been travelling, you know, from the radio station straight to the church, and we had gone in, but I think the minister or something had gone out, and he says, "Who's driving that car?" Such and such. Read out the numbers, and Martin says, "That's me." And he had seen me with Martin. He says, "Well, your wife has left the mirror." Well, he went out that door like Speedy Gonzales.
Sure
My wife, you know. And
class.
but when I'm out now, I just say I'm the sister rather than
absolutely.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Well, do you know, Liz, this has been, excuse me, great, but I think my camera is maybe getting to a stage where it's going to run out of power.
You need
on
a new
us.
camera, Roy.
Or else we just need to make shorter programs.
I haven't even opened my book.
No. Do you want to say a few things to some people?
Well,
And I'll have a wee peep and see how much power we've got left here.
and then you can run down the street and buy a new one.
I think you'd probably enough time to just say hello to a few people.
Well, I wasn't that. I had a whole list. But I mean, it doesn't matter. I don't mind if I never got a word in, Roy.
We'll do it. I know that. We'll
I
do
never
it.
got a word
We'll
in.
keep doing these now that we've started. If people sort of,
What's the point in me
if you
sitting?
who are listening feel that you would like us to do this again, do let us know.
It's not a matter of that. If you'd write in and tell Roy you want to hear my stories, because I've all this here done. And, you know, I didn't get reading this. Terrible,
Right, away
Roy.
you go. I zip.
Well, it's just that, you know, remember the last time I was talking to you, you asked me about myself. Oh, right. He zipped. Well, anyway, I just thought, you know, how would I describe myself? How would I, you know, the way you have had a very exciting life. And I mean, we haven't even got the half of it, have we?
No,
we
definitely
only got to wherever you'd got the caravan, and then
That was
you
it.
know we've so much more to go through with Royce. And I was trying to think up something that I could say.
Yeah.
So anyway, I come out. I have to take my glasses off to read this, you know.
Oh, that's interesting.
Well, I just thought I'd tell you my life.
Yes.
Right. So I was born, grew up, got married, had 4 children, reared them, broke my leg, and can't walk. Now,
And that's it, is
that's it. That's the story of my life.
Oh, dear.
What do you think of that, Roy?
I'm trying to think what are we going to say in the next programme.
I don't know. We could interview somebody else. What do you think?
I think Mildred and you should do one.
I think Mildred and I should do one. I really do.
Uh-huh.
Not that I'm telling you that I don't want you, because I mean you have so much to tell. But it's just whenever I come in and Mildred comes in.
The two of you, once you get started now, I think...
Do you know the best thing for you to do, Roy, whenever I come down? When Mildred pops in to say, hello, just you turn your camera on. And just let me and Mildred carry on.
Exactly.
That would be the best thing. Because that way we get it all
It'd be great. We'll do that.
done.
We'll
But
do that the next time.
anyway, we want to thank everybody out there
Very much so.
for joining us.
Uh-huh.
And we are going to do this again.
Well, that's the plan anyway,
That's
isn't
the
it?
plan.
Uh-huh.
If you feel, well, we call the programme Now You're Talking.
Well, that's what we were thinking of.
That's what, I don't know why.
No.
You come up with that idea, Roy.
I did.
And
But now I'm not so sure. No. If it was a good idea.
he's changing his mind already. But I think if people want to ring in, and maybe they have things that they want
Yes.
us to talk about,
Yes.
and just ring Roy.
And I'll put Liz's number up on the screen at the end here.
Oh, can we talk about this sort of... Do you know my phone's not working? My phone's not working. Oh, Roy, I've written a wee poem.
Oh, you've written a poem?
I've written a wee poem.
Come on then.
What about your camera?
Well, if it runs out, it runs out.
Oh, we'll have to say it next week.
Well, you would, but do it now and then if it...
Are you sure?
I'm 100% sure.
Well, I tell you what it's about. Do you know, the other day Cecil was in terrible pain.
Right.
He got a draft in his neck,
Uh-huh.
and what he suffered was nothing ordinary. And when I told him to go and give him a headpiece, he said, it's all right for you. You don't have to suffer this pain. So I went to bed that night, and it was one of those nights where I couldn't sleep.
Yes. So you wrote a wee poem.
So, well, it wasn't a matter of really wanting to write it. It was just it was going through my head.
Yeah.
You know, that I should have thought of this, you know, and got this all organised before I come in. But I'll do it now. And I remember writing once before done more in the, what do you call that Mark Carmichael writes?
Ulster Scots.
Aye, that there. It was more like done like that sort of thing.
Yes.
And I was thinking about, right, I'll just write this for you. I was actually thinking of the people outside, you know, all about, that maybe couldn't sleep.
Yes.
And I was doing that. So I just thought I'd write this letter to keep you up to date. I don't know if I should say or not, but things just aren't great. I thought about it for a while, Then I thought, what the heck? Your man was driving with his window down and he got a draft in his neck.
Well, he's a bit of a pain in the neck as well, isn't he?
Oh,
Sorry.
The moans were nothing ordinary. So I said, for goodness sake, would you go and catch your salon? It's only a draft in your neck. Well, if looks could kill, I'd be dead. So I tried being sympathetic. But he moaned and he groaned till my head nearly went. He was sounding so pathetic.
Oh dear.
But he carried on and he gurnt and got on, and the pain got him aggravated. So I got him to bed with a scarf in his neck as I got more agitated. So we're in bed now and it's 3 a.m. He's snoring, but I'm no sleeping. So that's why I'm writing this wee note, to let yous know how we're keeping. So there you are, Roy. That was the pain in the neck for you.
Looking for more of these now. Oh dear.
But
will we say
I think we'll
cheerio
say
for that? Will get Mildred to sing another wee song? Just as we're
Absolutely.
leaving, when we leave.
when we leave.
Aye.
Are we not going now?
Aye, we're going now.
Aye.
So when we say cheerio, I'll put one of Mildred's songs on, will I?
Aye.
We'll do it that way.
Well, you know, if we keep on saying these things, we'll never be away the night. And I have an appointment in October. Do you know, Roy, the one
Now
thing
you're
talking. Do you know, just before I go, I want to say one thing.
Uh-huh.
And we're talking about our lives and everything else. And like, when we get married and started out,
Yeah.
we had nothing.
Uh-huh.
And I still have the most that left. Right, Roy, all the best. I'll see you the next time.
Exactly.
Goodbye and God
God
bless.
bless.
I found a friend in Jesus, he's everything to me. He's the fairest of 10,000 to my soul. The lily of the valley, in him alone I see all I need to cleanse and make me fully whole. In sorrow he's my comfort, in trouble he's my stay. He tells me every care on him to roll. He's the lily of the valley, the bright and morning star. He's the fairest of 10,000 to my soul. In sorrow he's my comfort, in trouble he's my stay. He tells me every care on him to roll. He's the lily of the valley, the bright and morning star. He's the fairest of 10,000 to my soul. He all my grief has taken and all my sorrows borne. In temptation he's my strong and mighty tower. I have all for him forsaken, I've all my idols torn from my heart, and now he keeps me by his power. Though all the world forsake me and Satan tempts me sore, through Jesus I shall safely reach the goal. He's the lily of the valley, the bright and morning star. He's the fairest of 10,000 to my soul. In sorrow he's my comfort, in trouble he's my stay. He tells me every care on him to roll. He's the lily of the valley, the bright and morning star. He's the fairest of 10,000 to my soul. He'll never, never leave me, nor yet forsake me here, while I live by faith and do his blessed will. A wall of fire about me, I've nothing now to fear. With his manna he my hungry soul shall fill. Then sweeping up to glory, I'll see his blessed face, where rivers of delight shall ever roll. He's the lily of the valley, the bright and morning star. He's the fairest of 10,000 to my soul. In sorrow he's my comfort, in trouble he's my stay. He tells me every care on him to roll. He's the lily of the valley, the bright and morning star. He's the fairest of 10,000 to my soul. He's the fairest of 10,000 to my soul.